You know, when a couple of guys are angry at each other and they're yelling and they're arguing, sooner or later, one of them is going to say, F you. And the other guy gets mad and he goes, oh, yeah, well, F you too. This is brilliant dialogue. Why is F you considered an insult? It's the most exotic, exquisite experience you can have. If somebody says F you to me, I feel like saying thank you. Thank you for wishing such a wonderful thing to me. And it's time you started thinking about things like that. Don't take stuff for granted. Oh, how you get along day after day without me explaining things I never will know.
You're listening
I'm not saying the whole word because I don't want to.
Podcast.
We're very happy to have you back, even for a short visit.
And here we go.
Broadcasting to you live from downtown Jonestown, where we're online for extra helpings of Kool-Aid. This is the Wicked Theory Podcast.
Barnum and...
Well, wrong one. Well, still the wrong one. Hey, what do you say, kids, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, germs, small pets? This is the Wicked Theory Podcast. I'm Bill. I got Uncle Jay.
Yeah, baby.
We got Brother Bob on guitar.
What's up, everybody?
Woo! And hey, this is episode 184, and we do this live every Saturday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Mixlr. Mixlr is a little place you can go to hear us, and it's an app too. MIXLR. Download the free app, search for us on there, or just go to mixlr.com/wicked-theory. Come hang out, get in the chat room, play the chat room game, and while we hit you with some pop culture news, reviews, and other nonsense. And there's always time to send an email, kids. podcast@wicked-theory.com. Got through it. Okay, 2 weeks in a row.
Mixlr.com/wicked-theory.
There's a bell for that.
Isabel?
Isabel.
Isabel. No, we're well.
Yeah.
Isabel.
Hey, you know, it's all right. We'll get through it. So tonight's going to be a little different than usual.
It is? Why, Bill?
Well, tonight's the big night.
Big night. What big night?
Big night. It's Jay's big night.
Well, I got a tuxedo on, as you can see.
Yeah, I can see that. I like the top hat.
Yeah.
Like most
You
people,
can't just paint your skin black and white, Jay.
It's not,
you should probably get a full body
a
tattoo.
little late.
It's not a devil's game.
But I like the top hat. I think the top hat's a nice touch. Most people don't go that far with the bit.
Tails.
The tails, you know. Yeah,
It's a
certain
baseball
tuxes.
cap.
Certain tuxes.
I can only imagine that's uncomfortable when you're sitting.
Right.
Like, you know, at one point, you're just going to, like, rip the fucking top of your goddamn thing or sit on your tails and
Yeah, it's going to be very uncomfortable.
get caught in the elevator. something
I've
like
seen that Tom and Jerry. What was it?
The neighbors are a little...
Got the bowling league going tonight. That's what it sounds like. I don't know if the mics are picking.
But
it
yeah,
up.
tonight is the premiere, the television premiere of Jonestown.
Of Jonestown, Terror in the Jungle.
Ooh.
As we record this at 7, it's going to start on Sundance TV at 9 p.m.
Right.
Which puts us in the clear. We can wrap this show up. We're going to go watch it. And then we'll have a delayed after show. If anybody's still up afterwards, we're going to come back on. And probably be just me and Jay. Bob's got work in the morning, so he's probably going to crash.
Talk about it a little bit.
And we'll talk about it a little bit, kick it around, see what we thought about it, and how you feel about finally getting to see it and
Tell a
stuff like
couple
that.
anecdotes.
Some
Talk
anecdotes, and we're going to whisper a lot.
Talk quiet.
Which will fit the tone, because it'll be like Jonestown. We have to be really serious about
Exactly.
it. It's mature content. It's a serious topic.
Bro Kool-Aid.
You
Will there
know,
be any Kool-Aid recipes? Jay?
So
Will there be any Kool-Aid recipes?
Oh, yeah, it's great.
well,
It's great, yeah.
tune in to find out.
Right.
So if you're listening to this after that, though, on the feed, check the feed. I'll put that episode up there on the podcast feed as well.
Nice.
So people can check that out.
Very
so
excited.
You should be.
Yeah, very excited. All joking aside.
All joking aside, happy for you.
Couldn't
man.
be more humble about it, but I'm really just I just like to see it. I'm interested in the subject matter anyway. I want to see what they did because these interviews are supposed to be wonderful as well. So
I saw a review today, actually. Bob managed to throw that into the notes from a Hollywood Reporter, and it was a pretty strong review.
Yeah.
From a guy who was like, look, like
I've watched a few of these.
I watched a lot of Jonestown stuff, and
This is one of the better ones.
it holds up. It brings
holds
new
up.
stuff, new light to things.
yeah, there was another review I read where they said that there are a few out there, but they're inferior to this
Right.
because not only are they're telling you some stuff that you've never seen before, but even stuff that they do, retell you about.
Yeah.
Is done very compelling in a very compelling way.
I think there's got to be easy to find stuff that hasn't aired about this, simply because when this happened, there was a lot of censoring on TV that was just done behind the scenes.
Yeah,
stuff
sure,
like
I can
this.
see that.
Stuff like this you really didn't see too much.
Yeah, they might mention it, but they wouldn't go into
This was
heavy.
when this was shown on TV. When this event, I was real little,
Sure,
and they really didn't speak about it
in detail.
in detail.
Yeah.
They were like, they drank the Kool-Aid. They weren't saying what happened. But they were implying those things. They were kind of uncomfortable with the whole thing.
That was still the era when they used to be like, if you have children in the room, maybe it's best if they leave now.
Right.
Like when they would give you those heads up. They don't do that for shit anymore.
Right. This is the same time, around the same time that the Olympics got the terrorists had the terrorists at the Olympics.
Yeah.
So if that happened now, they'd be like, all right, there's terrorists at the Olympics. And the guys in the stands be like, all right, where are they? Let's go get them.
Folks.
Let's get this over.
See, folks, nothing's really changed. People think we live in some sophisticated, evolved fucking times.
Yeah.
But the wheel in the sky keeps
so-
on turning.
So now they can say things that they couldn't then.
That's right.
Well,
So
I'm excited about it. 9 o'clock, tune in.
Tune in.
We're going to shut down.
We'll be done with this by that time. We'll make sure to finish with at least 15 to go and have a bathroom break for everybody.
Exactly.
But ideally, if anybody wants to make a drinking game out of it while they watch, I'm going to say you have to sip.
Every time Jay's on screen.
I feel like every time Jay's on screen, you have to either sip or chug.
Well, I think it's
while he's on screen, because that's the power play moment of a drinking game, right?
But Jay, correct me if I'm wrong in this thing, because you don't have lines. You're doing a lot with your hands.
Yes.
So here's what I was thinking.
Okay.
Now as he comes out, when we see Jay, you got to drink.
Sure.
Every time he's raising his hands,
okay,
you got to drink again.
Right.
If you raise both hands, you got to do a double.
Okay.
Sounds good.
That
Sounds pretty good.
You know what I mean?
Sounds
this is
good.
without seeing everything. The only video I've seen of this was the scene where Jim Jones is like telling the woman to get naked, and he kind of does raise both of his hands.
Yeah.
So I think that's what made me think of it.
So when you see Jay
Raising both hands.
Well, when you see
No,
Jay,
you drink.
Yeah.
When you see Jay raise an arm after you've seen him
that's another drink.
That's another drink.
Right.
But if he raises both arms, it's a double.
Right.
And you got to do that every time
Right.
he's on screen. So if he's
Now-
on screen and he does this,
Right.
Any combination of these things 2 or 3 times, you have to drink every time.
Right. Okay. So if in that scene, if it goes long, his arm goes down
Right.
and then comes back up.
Right.
Oh boy.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's
Right.
another drink, or both arms. That's another double.
Right.
You
know
got
what
to
I
do
mean?
a quadruple shot if Jay gets shot.
Well, I was gonna say. Here's what I was gonna say is that
But I'm saying shots, so because Jay does liquor, so that should be the preferred thing. But if you're a beer drinker, then you got to chug a whole beer.
whatever's your damage. But that's what I was gonna get to is that usually there's something in particular that's you have to finish it, and that's the rare thing. But that still is gonna happen.
Takes off his glasses. I don't know. See, now we make
Yeah,
I don't know, 'cause
I
I don't
know.
know the motion.
Well, since you're here, Bob, I don't know if you'll be there later on, but they're
I'm definitely going to see it, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to see it tonight.
when I did this, I had lines to practice, so it wasn't
Okay.
just me
So-
acting with my hands.
Okay, so
You know what I mean?
so if you speak, are
Your
there
mouth is
moments-
moving?
If we hear audible.
No, you
No,
probably
you
won't
probably
hear.
won't.
it.
Okay.
If we hear audible,
All right.
we have to drink the bottle.
Okay, so all right, right.
And I have to call the SAG office.
Right.
Okay, right. That's right. That's true. Okay,
That too.
so if we see your lips move, you got to drink the whole thing.
Yeah, that's a finish.
right,
That's a finish. Well, I don't know.
I mean, you might even see it because I'm shot in low contrast.
Well, we'll leave that as the
Yeah.
framework. You kids play
Right,
at home.
yeah. And,
Figure it out on your own.
If you see another sequence events going on, you can adjust as need be.
Just
Sure,
raise
sure.
a glass to the
Use,
T-shirt.
use this as a guideline to start with.
Yeah, maybe that'll be a thing you guys can let us know.
Right.
When did you find was the best time to slam it all the way down? But it's a two-parter, so there's part 1 tonight, and then
We may
part-
have to rewrite the whole thing once we've seen the whole thing.
That's true. We'll get some feedback. We'll have rules by the next one. But the next one's tomorrow night, though.
Yeah.
It's Saturday and Sunday, which is a little unusual, but I think it's a bold move.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna watch it. I'm not gonna. Usually, I watch Walking Dead on Sunday nights, but not tomorrow night.
Fair enough. Yeah, you have something else to watch now. I
That's
think fair enough.
That's why we have free cloud DVR these days.
Yeah. In the chat room, James says, "What does Bob want me dead?" I guess we're setting up those rules. That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
Well, I don't think we're gonna see. I don't think we're gonna be seeing Jay on screen for really long lengths of time.
Right. That's what I'm saying too. You know what I mean?
So I think we'll be okay. I think as a guideline, that's good. That's a good start.
Absolutely.
James, if you see Jay running around swinging his arms all the time with his mouth moving, feel free to stop drinking before you get alcohol poisoning.
My acting's a little better than that.
That would be funny though if all of a sudden it's Jay running down the hill and his arms are flailing.
Like doing like Benny Hill running down the hill.
A real animated arm movements. All right, so cool. All right, so let's hit up just brief us on the rest of the Jay report, the Jay sighting, Jay Watch 2018. Because Ray Donovan.
Ray Donovan, episode 3 dropped last Sunday.
All right.
I am briefly in frame.
Okay.
You'll see me there. And then I believe tomorrow is episode 4. I believe I'm in that as well. I won't know
Until we see it.
until
for
we
sure.
see it.
All right.
And yesterday I finished day 7 of 7 on the Joker.
On the Joker.
Yeah,
All done.
so I
Ooh,
did
you've
7
done-
days. I will be in frame somewhere. I can almost guarantee that.
All right.
And
all right.
yeah, I'm very excited about it. It was a fun shoot.
Okay.
And I think this is going to be one exceptional Joker film.
Right.
I'm not saying that because I'm in it. I'm saying it because I was there and seeing some of these scenes unfold. And how the
And being a movie file yourself, you have some knowledge of what you're seeing.
right. Well, not only that, it's
Because
shot
you're just seeing it in its raw form because you're there.
right. I mean, they're setting it in 1981.
Right.
You know, there's just a lot of grit to it that I think is ideal for this subject matter, especially that character. So I'm very much looking forward to this film next year. Back to you, Bill.
Back to me. Thank you. Thanks for vamping there a little bit. All right, so who do we got in the chat room? We got the chat room?
Yeah, we got James B. Ham. We got Wesley Ryan Gaskins
True,
and Bauer
true.
Fett,
Nice.
along with me, you, and Bob.
Yeah.
It's the whole shenanigans.
Just the whole
Kit and caboodle.
enchilada.
I don't know. My buddy,
Kit and
buddy
caboodle.
from the band, Joe, the bass player, wasn't here this week.
Oh, no. But you never know. It could pop
Yeah.
up late.
Nice young.
Yeah, he
Oh.
felt real bad after last week with the
Oh, with the whole
with
maximum-
maximum Bob thing.
the maximum Bob
went to the
reveal.
studio the next day and he's like, "Bob, I'm so sorry." I was like, "It's okay, man. It's fun."
Is that the guy who's been here? Oh, no. That's
no.
a different guy.
No, that's a different guy.
Okay.
Joe's a big guy. You'll see him because you're going to see us when we play.
Um,
I'm not asking you. I'm telling you.
I was going to say, that did kind of sound like not many options in that. And you'll probably be my ride, which means I have to go early.
A band's very first show.
I know. Family and friends.
Everybody's got to come.
Yeah. Otherwise, you don't care.
No, you got to start coming to every show, and then when we start getting a following,
No,
then you don't have to come
No,
anymore.
see, here's the thing about creative stuff. That's the dream and the hope, is that family and friends will come and support you, and rarely do they ever. They come for the first run,
Yeah.
and then they kind of phase off real
Yeah.
quick, and then it's just you,
Yeah.
the fans, and maybe like one good friend. But
It's
that's
funny.
It.
It's funny that most of my family didn't come to my first one, or my first one with my second band, or my first one with my third band. It was like
Hey, I saw you when
the
you guys
band that was
played
playing
at,
showcases and almost got a deal was the one that everyone came to, and then they were like, "Oh wow, Bobby can play,"
Wow.
and I was like,
I don't know why they would have.
"Yeah."
Let's not get into the family
Anyway, yeah.
bullshit
I
because
know, I
you're
wasn't
wrong
trying
on
to get
that a
into
little
family
bit,
bullshit,
but whatever.
Anyway,
So heavy metal hooch as a chat room game.
Heavy Metal Hooch.
Yeah, I figured that would
Okay.
get a big wheezy laugh out of Jay, and I was right. Heavy metal hooch.
Talk about Wheezy.
Yeah, wheezy. So the suggestions are Johnny Be Good Walker or Johnny Walker Be Good. I'm not sure, but that's I'm only giving out that one
Adorable.
as the sample there. So
The one when you
since
came
we have
up
no
with-
Palmer tonight, you'll find me doing some double duties.
Bitch.
And I'll just leave that in there. Into the chat room as a reminder. It's Heavy Metal Hooch is the chat room game, and we'll get back to that later.
We'll get a lot out of James.
You know what I mean? We'll figure it all out, and then
Southern rock and roll comfort.
there you go. See the kids? Now you got 2. Get busy. Entertain us as we entertain you, my friend. In a nice, thick...
James is asking me, do I get killed by the Joker? And I'm going to tell him that
Not in Jonestown.
No.
He's mixing it up.
Do you get killed by the Joker? The answer is watch it in October.
Ooh. Fucking tune in and see. I like it.
Lay down at $14.95
$14.95. Oof.
in the IMAX.
Oh, is that what that is?
I am going to see it in IMAX. I might have a better chance of spotting myself. So,
Good point. Good
there we
point. Good
go.
point. So with that, that's going to roll us up into the newsy area of the show, where we talk news stuff. Roll me away. Oh, baby, baby, baby.
You know, I do like the fact that Bob Seger finds his way on this fucking podcast every now and again.
Well, it's either him or Michael McDonald. I mean,
They're the same person.
Well, I just mean it's like that same ilk.
You don't say fuck you, fuck Bob Seger in a biker bar. Don't do that.
No, I don't know. I think there are worse things.
I know.
Oh, did you learn that lesson?
Fuck Bob Seger.
Fuck Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band.
I like Bob Seger.
Yeah, but the Silver Bullet Band.
They gotta go.
They can go. Everybody in that bar was like, yeah, Silver Bullet Band, not so much. There's a reason why Bob left. So, speaking of giant douchebags, no. Bad transition. But, so Bill Maher's an asshole, but we knew that, right?
Yeah, he's a prick.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't even know like how deep I want to get into it because it's like
It's like you're giving him attention.
It's giving him attention a little bit. It's feeding into the conversation of like just like because he writes this kind of stuff or says stuff sometimes where you swear he's just kind of doing it because he knows it'll get people's dander up. And maybe it's a true opinion he's got, but it's just like he knows you can just get people's dander going a little bit.
That's all he's got going for him since what, the 80s?
Yeah, that's his bit.
Like,
what
that's
I mean?
been his bit.
His bit is to be politically incorrect and to say the stuff that, like, I'm probably not going to be anybody's, no one's going to be happy with me when I say this thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So.
And when things get really quiet, he goes off the deep end to get some make sure he gets some attention. But the fact is, he's always going to be a D-list celebrity.
Yeah, he's always, now he's probably, because we live in a highly politicized age where if you're, he's got more attention now than he's ever had, really. Like, he was doing politically incorrect in an era where, like, politics originally, like on ABC back then, like politically incorrect, like he was doing that show back when, like, politics wasn't at the all consumption levels it is now. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and let's be honest. I read everything that was published from what he said. Everything that was published from what he said, and he sounds like he really has no clue what comic books are.
Well, it's a lot of that. It's a lot of like him just thinking, oh, this perception I have of comic books is much like all his perceptions.
He goes
like,
on and says,
he's a know-it-all.
Right?
Like,
he is. He's like he thinks he knows everything.
So let me read this.
Go ahead.
Let me read this.
Read it. Go ahead.
So it's a short blog post that he wrote, and it's not even that deep. It must have been some like kind of like, oh, here's this thought I had, and let me see how much I can squeeze out of it. Oh, not a lot. So it starts out like this: the guy who created Spider-Man, the Hulk, has died, and America is in mourning, deep, deep mourning for a man who inspired millions to, I don't know, watch a movie, I guess. Someone on Reddit posted, "I'm so incredibly grateful I lived in a world that included Stan Lee." Now, personally, I'm grateful I lived in a world that included oxygen and trees, but to each his own. Now, I have nothing against comic books. I read them now and then when I was a kid, and I was all out of Hardy Boys. But the assumption everyone had back then, both the adults and the kids, was that comics were for kids, and when you grew up, you moved on to big boy books without the pictures. But then 20 years ago or so, something happened. Adults decided they didn't have to give up the kids' stuff. And they pretended that comic books were actually sophisticated literature. And because America has over 4,500 colleges, which means we need more professors than we have smart people, some dumb people got to be professors by writing theses with titles like Otherness and Heterodoxy in the Silver Surfer. And now when adults are forced to do grown-up things like buy auto insurance, they call it adulting and act like it's some giant struggle. I'm not saying we've necessarily gotten stupider. The average Joe is smarter in a lot of ways than he was in, say, the 1940s. When a big night out was the Three Stooges short in a Carmen Miranda musical, the problem is we're using our smarts on stupid stuff. I don't think it's a huge stretch to suggest that Donald Trump could only get elected in a country that thinks comic books are important.
Right.
Period. End.
Yeah. So that was the whole point. He wanted to get a Donald Trump dig in.
Kinda. I mean, I think he made that.
And make sure he got attention for it, so he pissed off.
I think he made that equation. Like he saw Stanley had died, and was like, what are all these people going on about this? Stanley, it's comic book stuff, And then he had this thought, this revelation in his head, like, I bet only in this country that where people love comic books could we get a character like Donald Trump, right? And so from there, it's reverse engineering this little spiel about like, okay, so, I'm not going to completely shit on Stan Lee, but I'm going to completely like shit on an industry and an art form that like in America where we only have 3 or 4 indigenous art forms, jazz, banjo, tap dance, and comic books. Like those are things that those are the only things America can really claim as their own creatively, almost in total. Like you can see the roots of those things started in other places, but those things.
That's not true at all.
Kind of what was that?
That there's only those 4 things.
No, yeah,
right,
that's what I'm saying.
Right.
But those are like just a short
Right.
sample. Those are a short list of people who rattle off sometimes.
Right, that's the mentality of.
But that's the thing. But that's all we have in this country. And so just because it doesn't fall on you doesn't mean it's a complete waste of time and shit. You know what I mean? And so I'm more annoyed by him kind of using like Stan Lee's death to kind of even put this post out right now. Like he could have pocketed this little argument, this little idea he had about.
It might even have been pocketed previously, and this was.
Oh wow, that's a good point.
But it was
too.
the social media feedback that was pissing him off about Stan Lee's death. Is what drove this post.
Yeah,
he's like on the social media, and 80% of the people are saying "Rest in peace." Stanley and stuff like that. I think it's a little uncalled for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the thing is this, I watch the Bill Maher show. I mean, I do.
Yeah.
I can take him or leave him.
Yeah, me too.
I can take him or leave him personally, but I think it is a decent show. I think he's got some great guests and some good political talk, and sometimes it breaks it down for me. You know what I mean?
It's one of the few real conversations that'll get, especially when he gets like actual senators and people and puts their feet to the fire a little bit. It's good to see. It's the only place that really feels like it's doing that. And he kind of swings a little bit on some things, so like whatever.
But this was a little bit of
this comes off like he's got a bunch of different ideas about current like American like pop culture consumption, and he wants to hit those. And this thing like it brings up the idea of like the popular reference now amongst some people of adulting, which is the joke, which is like it's a ironic-y, kind of sardonic, kind of jokey thing that lives in the internet. Like, he doesn't get that that's like a tongue-in-cheek thing people say when they're like,
Yeah, but he's really grinding hard on it.
Yeah.
At a time where we just lost Stanley, and I feel like it's a little uncalled for.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just is it because a lot of grown men and women are digging pop culture and comic books, and they're not paying attention to the political problems of the world right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe these comic book films are perfect escape from what's going on.
That's what they always say with pop culture stuff, right?
That's the whole point of a movie in the first place.
Right. It's escapism, and they do say that these things spike during times of national upheaval type eras.
Yeah, but
like
he's
there's a
not
spike in that kind of spending,
financial difficulties,
economic turmoil, and
but
stuff like
he's
that.
not the only one, because there are film connoisseurs that actually feel the same way he does about movies shouldn't be just all comic books.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And see, here's the thing too. There needs to be more of a nuanced separation between comic books and superheroes, because that's what his bone is really about. Is about superheroes. And this whole kind of very flashy, this is the new thing. This is it's everywhere.
Whole enchilada in a way.
And you know what? I'm sorry, but it's the modern Western. It's the thing where it's like it's the giant trend that you're going to be stuck in for 20 or 30 years, maybe more. Just like people were stuck with Westerns. You know why we were stuck with Westerns? Because kids loved Westerns. You know why kids loved Westerns? Because they were easy to make at the time, right? And so everything was about Westerns. And then we phased out of it. And then, like, in comic books, it was four kinds of comic books: superheroes, horror, romance, and Westerns. Yeah. And, like, sci-fi would be in there somewhere.
Yeah, it's in superheroes are so big right now in the movies that Disney is spending $24 billion on new rides, new additions to parks.
You know, all this crazy money.
And if they're doing that, come on.
Yeah. And then he goes into this thing that I have an issue with where he said, like, you know, that 20 years ago something happened. Adults decided they didn't have to give up kid stuff. I'm sorry. That's the problem with America. First of all, like, we didn't always give up kid stuff because anything you liked as a kid is still the shit that you swear was the greatest shit ever and you love it today. I don't care if it's your fucking bands that you loved. I don't care if it's the fucking teams that you loved. Any kid who was into sports as a kid and is still into as an adult, according to his kind of logic, is just as silly. Like, you know what I mean? You should have put away that kid stuff. Right. Because that's kid stuff. You were into it as a kid? Well, that's kid stuff.
But Bill,
he didn't put the Rolling Stones and Bruce Springsteen away.
You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Like,
but, you know, I mean, I remember going to comic book conventions when I was 7.
Yeah.
And there was 50-year-old men buying comic books.
There was
for
more
themselves.
adults there.
They're not just for kids.
Yeah. It's just,
you know
it's
what I mean?
gone mainstream in a way where, like maybe he didn't know that, like, you
He's
know.
stereotyping it a little bit.
Yeah. Like, he didn't know
Shoe
what it
kids.
was. Right. And this is the shit that, like, we were trying to come out from behind for the longest time. That is the problem with superhero stuff.
Yeah.
And I get that, too. Like, superhero stuff is not always the most fucking dense, you know, philosophical shit.
Yeah,
but if he needs a wake-up call about comic books, then he should go read Maus. He should go read Contract with God. He should go read, like, the stuff that's actually transcends, or Sandman, stuff that actually transcends the form. Because when these guys call it literature, they're not talking about Captain America. When they call it literature, they're not talking about Batman. Unless it's like the all-time one best thing ever done with that particular character where they made it into something super serious. Like, you know what I mean? Otherwise, when they talk about comics as literature, they talk about Maus, they talk about Persepolis, you know, they talk about these kinds of things that are like about real stories just told in this format because it's like, it's a different presentation. It's sequential art. It's the oldest fucking art form going.
It's a movie on the page.
It's the most limitless form.
Well, that also is a matter of
That's what I used to say. Bob hit it right there. That's the thing I used to say to people all the time. It's like reading a movie.
But it's like that's also a matter of opinion too. There's people that'll think that a book that they love is literature, and, and that's for them to say.
Yeah.
I think that what he's doing here is just strictly a punk move, and using Stan Lee's death as just
a jumping off point.
Just to him to get
it going.
Yeah, just to get some. It's just a jumping off point, really.
Just to get the shit off his mind.
Yeah.
About comic books and the culture.
Right.
Yeah, how he's probably been rejected.
And he obviously doesn't know what he's talking about because he says, and you where you at one point you were reading is like, I've read a comic book here or there.
Yeah.
Right, and then he goes on. And what was the other thing?
When he wasn't reading Hardy Boys.
Right. But wait a second, all right? First off, he's not that much older than me. I never read a Hardy Boys in my life. I got them from, like, my grandmother.
Right.
Okay? Which means that they were done in, like, the 30s.
Right. Books used to last forever.
Well, he's about 11 years older than you,
right.
Bob.
So, I don't even believe he really read those.
No.
If he did, then he was the kind of person that I wouldn't want to hang out with when he was a kid.
Well, here's the thing about here's the thing about Bill Maher. I don't think he's a person that anybody wanted to hang out with when they were a kid.
That's a good point.
Because I have the feeling that he's the kind of guy where a lot of the conversations anybody's ever had with him are like this, where very know-it-all and very like, let me tell you how it really is, okay? Because that's how the show is, okay? You know?
So he can hang out with Adam from Adam Knows Everything? Adam Ruins Everything?
Yeah, but Adam would actually fucking school him because that guy sounds like he's actually sat down with some books and did a lot of hard studying.
Yeah.
Like where Bill Maher is like, here's the thing I think. Send the interns out. Have them fucking scoop it all up. Like, you know what I mean? Well, the guy from Adam Ruins Everything. Like,
I think he's... He was. This was a little uncalled for. He was better off not saying it all because I don't think this helped him prove any kind of a point.
No.
It just he comes off as a prick.
Yeah. But he doesn't care about that because that's his whole career now.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't even matter what. I don't even think any of the opinions are really his anymore. It's just he's just saying this shit to get attention so he can make a couple bucks.
I actually do believe that's his opinion.
You know, a lot of his points should have been about superheroes and not about comic books, you know, because I think that would have kind of resonated a little bit better for people. Because then he
Yeah.
could have had specific about a genre type thing.
It
where
might
it's
have saved him a little.
a little bit, but not by much.
No.
So he's douche of the week, I guess, on a lot of people's fucking,
Yeah. Well, when you have the entire staff of Marvel Comics tweeting you all like and destroying you in reply, yeah, I think so.
So from the chat room, James is like, Bill's going with the let no tragedy go to waste philosophy. I guess. I'm not sure if I'm following that exactly. He says, I've watched a few Adam Ruins Everything on topics I know little about. And that was a thing I did too. Adam, that guy's got it actually separate from the show. He's got a great thing on millennials. I don't know the breakdown exactly, but how the terminology for millennials is different than other terminologies we've used. Like the way we use it is different than other generations. Like I forget exactly how it break down. People can look it up if they're interested in something like that. It's kind of crazy. But Mixler, no, I don't need the new version right now. Thank you. Mixler just had this pop up. Hey, a new version available. I'm like, well, I'm doing a show. Like I don't know if you're aware, Mixler, but we're broadcasting. Oh, jeez. I should send that note to them. Guys, just a heads up. I don't need this pop up while I'm broadcasting.
Much appreciated.
Yeah. He really doesn't bring a lot to the table. He likes to stir shit up and success,
Yeah, he's good at that.
So he was trending almost all day today.
Yeah.
He's finally off the trending on
Yeah.
Twitter.
So he's so happy right now.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, that was my last episode of the season, and it went out with a bang, I guess." Yeah, I win.
Yeah.
So
Fuck all he is till 40 weeks from now when I air again.
yeah, so it's a big F you to little Billy
Bill
Maher,
Maher. Yeah,
little Billy
I think
Maher,
that's
who's
what
never
James-
happy.
And I think that's who James Behan was actually talking about.
Okay, fair enough.
Because he goes on underneath his comment about, I've watched a few of the Adam Ruins Everything. He says he repeats the same tired and sad arguments. It presents nothing but a propagandist agenda.
Right, I'm gonna.
So I'm assuming that ties to his first.
Yeah, well, I don't know
Comment
because
there
there's a
in the chat
delay,
room.
so he might have meant that in regards to either one of them.
Yeah, it could have been. It
Let's
could have
not
been.
get too lost in
Yeah.
it, but
Anyway, yeah. So what's next, Bill?
so what's next is that somebody.
Somebody?
I don't know if it was anybody here at the table, but somebody paid $15,000 in a charity auction for a walk-on role in Bill and Ted 3.
Yeah, I read something about that too.
So, if anything, this is just more guarantees that it's actually happening. I think.
Right, yeah.
Is that Bill and Ted is a real thing? Bill
Well,
and
we
Ted
covered
3?
that. It is happening.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
that's
no, I
going to
know.
be a hard check for them to write if it's not going to be made now.
Right.
So they're making it.
Yeah. So, which is pretty cool. Somebody, it's a lot of money. It was a one-day auction for charity. The guy gets also a set tour and dinner with the assembled cast. So I guess whoever's actually around that day to do shooting, he'll get to have dinner with them. So, but 15,000's a lot for a walk-on role.
For a walk-on?
That I think you probably in the fine print are going to be told you could still get cut somehow. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
That has to be written in the contract.
That's what I mean. It's got to be in the fine print that they have a last call on that. Like, if you tell me the studio is like this one thing just feels fucking stupid and awkward. We all want to cut it, but we
Wait,
can't.
it's a Bill and Ted movie though, so I don't think it's that hard to.
Fair enough. Good
I mean,
point.
it's not like it's like
Yes.
They-
awkward and
they-
weird is kind of the thing. Yeah.
because they're a little awkward and weird.
Right.
So,
So if this guy can't act for shit and he's like,
it's not really going to matter because the way they were playing Bill and Ted is like people who don't act. When you think about
right,
it.
they can just make the next line be like, dude, like you sound like you just want to walk on roll. Like,
right, yeah, and
just
it-
do some
and
meta commentary bullshit and just move on.
Right,
Like,
yeah. So I think this is the one place where it might just be as raw as fuck and no one gives a shit.
All right, fair enough. I mean, yeah, it's a good point. It is a dang good point.
Yeah. So Bill, hey Bill,
Hey, guys.
what's next? Bill.
What's next? Bob's got a couple of things.
Yeah, I do. Where are we on the dock now?
So, fake band, Bob. Fake
the
band.
fake band. Okay, yeah. So
Run it down real quick.
yeah,
I
right.
guess.
So this dude threaten. Okay?
Threaten is the-
like threatening
Right, without the G.
without the G. Instead of
it's-
threaten with an EN,
Gotcha.
it's threaten.
In.
Right.
Gotcha.
So anyway, that's a band. Okay. So
Sure.
but it's one guy.
Right.
He plays all the instruments. I actually watched the music video.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And what he did was he bought
Mm.
himself 1 million+ views
Nice.
on YouTube.
Okay.
Right. And just one of his videos, though. He's got a bunch on the page, and they all have a couple thousand hits, not a whole lot. Suddenly, this one's got 1.1 million.
Nice.
And using that, he was able to book a world tour for his band.
Oh.
Which up until now, only like in the music videos, he's the only one playing instruments. He plays every instrument.
I know. I saw some.
Right.
I watched some.
And the whole music video is either him playing an instrument or him holding a picture frame and rolling it around his head.
Yeah. He's trying to do some
Right.
artsy shit, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah, but he uses that same footage in every music video.
Oh no.
So somebody bought into this, and booked his band on a world tour that nobody showed up for.
Ooh. So basically, like, the world got hip to it, right? Like, no one was buying it. Yeah. You know?
No one was buying it. No one was like, "Who's this? Who's this? Who's this?" Because I guess the simple thing is, if they're not into it, they're not going to go. It's a real simple fact.
Yeah, it's a real simple
like
thing.
They're hearing about it like, oh, wait, there's supposed to be a big deal. Oh, wait, it's $50 a seat? No, it's all right. Maybe if it was $5 at the local bar.
Right. Well, here's the thing. It's like no one knows what it is. No, that's the crazy part, is that people just didn't happen to show up for some other aspect. But so this is what happens when you buy your fan base, I guess, and they're not real.
Yeah. So
then you really can't do a tour then.
No. So I guess eventually he put a band together, because you would have to.
Yeah, you'd have to.
Because eventually, like,
to show up at the gigs,
they got to show up at a gig, and there are only three. To know that only 3 people showed up.
Sure, unless he was going to run around.
Which, by the way, if it's your very first gig ever, that's not a bad crowd. Just saying. Just saying, Threaten.
I mean, if that was the only criteria.
Right.
But the budget, you know.
Yeah. Now, the music video I watched actually isn't bad.
Okay.
It's kind of pop metal-y kind of thing, you know, a little synthy here and there.
Okay.
It's not bad for what it is.
But it's not great.
But it's not great.
Yeah.
You know, it's derivative.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So basically, there's a reason why it didn't catch on.
Yeah. So that teaches, I guess that teaches a lesson. Don't buy your fan base.
You can't buy a fan base
No.
because then you have to pay them to go to the concert.
And one of the videos I watched about this actually was from one of the studios I listened to.
Sure, you mentioned
YouTube.
them before. I forget his name.
Spectre Sound Studios.
Right.
Glenn Fricker.
Yeah, he's a crazy dude.
He's got his Frickin' News is one of the segments he does, and he was talking about this. This is how I found out about it. And I forgot what I was going to say. Anyway.
Jay's giving us a urine sample.
Yeah, and it does smell like pure alcohol. But anyway, so that's that. That's Threaten.
That's Threaten.
That's the story with Threaten.
We don't want to threaten you by telling you to watch it,
and
but
the most attention he's gotten is after
this guy,
all this kind of went down, because I've seen when I put his name up on YouTube, there's like 50 videos.
Now there's like everybody's ripping on him, right?
Everybody's ripping on him.
He's famous for being a clown.
Right. So next is Disney.
Disney.
We talked about the Star Wars hotel here, right? And
we've mentioned
Star
a little
Wars
bit
land,
this
right?
whole Star Wars land
building. They actually released some of the designs.
Right, the blueprints of the
blueprints
area,
of
schematic.
the hotel.
Right. Okay.
Of the hotel, and so we kind of know basically what this is going to be. And the ultimate thing that this is going to be is fucking expensive.
Well,
okay.
If you didn't have any doubts before,
Yeah.
now for sure.
Because just imagine you walk into the hotel and it looks like you're walking into a giant spaceship.
Okay.
Okay, with center consoles, islands, and the whole 9 yards.
I can dig it.
You're walking in and you have to get checked at the security station.
Right.
All right. This is both practical and for something that would happen if you're walking onto a spaceship, as you're going to go somewhere, right?
Sure.
So the hotel experience is basically like you're on a spaceship.
Right.
There's going to be only 30 rooms or suites on the first floor.
Okay.
And they assume that if the layout is exactly the same, that it's going to only maybe be about another 30 or 40 more, because they maybe have to adapt some things for not having crew down.
Right, sure, yeah.
So it'll be a little different. So there's not going to be a whole lot.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a whole lot
of suites.
Yeah.
Right. So they're thinking maybe it's going to be like what they've already done with another another park where they have these bungalows, and they only have 60 of them.
Okay.
So if they're going by those kinds of plans and what that goes for, this is going to be fucking expensive. But the moment you get there, you are going to be like, if you're a Star Wars fan, you want to be a Jedi for a week. You are a fucking Jedi for a week. You are flying into the space station, and you're going into the main park, and you're going to the cantinas and all that.
This is as close as you get.
You're gonna live. You're gonna live Star Wars.
It's like walking into a VR world that's not VR. Like,
Yeah, you were literally gonna eat, sleep, and shit Star Wars. This is not like you're sleeping on the Star Wars blanket that you had as a kid. This is
well,
this is
quite
the
the next level.
Yeah, this is a next level experience. This is probably gonna be.
So we're gonna have a
Like
rail that picks you up.
10 grand a person for a week.
Oh,
at
easily,
least. I
probably.
think right now
The
you
full
go,
package,
you get a
yeah.
full package with the family at a regular park. There, it's $3 grand plus.
Okay.
Maybe you can get it for a little less if you do package deals. You sign up with Disney, you know, for all this other shit, whatever.
Sure.
But right around $3 grand. So you got to figure it's gonna have to be at least 5, maybe more.
Right.
You know, and maybe that's even per person.
Yeah, and it's going to be jammed out the wazoo for the
Yeah.
first several years,
Yeah.
easily. Like,
Yeah, because they're not
good
going to
luck.
have. Yeah, you're not going to have a lot of. They're not going to have a lot of rooms.
Yeah, I mean, and once
So-
Jay gets there, you're all fucked.
Yeah,
Right.
and you're going to go from the hotel via a special shuttle that's like a space shuttle
A monorail? Did someone say monorail?
to the park area. So you're never going to leave this experience. You know what I mean? You're not really going to see outside of Star Wars land.
James wants to know if these rooms come with sex slaves, because that is canon.
Well,
technically, that there
yes,
are
that's canon, but
or
that's,
sexy slaves. We
it's-
never saw them have sex,
I
but
don't
they
know
were
if that's
sexy.
Disney. I don't know.
Like Ula.
Would you really want that though? Do you remember Disney runs this? You could get a sex slave that's like Minnie Mouse.
I'll tell you right now, the last thing I want is
What's her name? Daisy Duck.
okay, fair enough.
Ula.
Sure.
You know, what I mean?
Jabba's dancer.
Jabba's dancer, right? The blue, the blue
the
chick.
green girl.
the green,
Green girl.
green,
Tentacles.
green.
Right.
I'm colorblind. You know, I don't see color. But the
Well,
last
it might
thing,
have been green in the original and then blue in the
you really?
the re-edits because he's changed it so many times.
I mean, I was born cross-eyed, but it didn't affect the colors.
All right. I'm
But
getting
anyway,
cross-eyed.
We just kept smacking you in the side of the head till they went straight.
Well, that's probably how they got crooked in the first place. But the last thing you want is the intergalactic STD. That's what I was going to say. Is that
Yeah, really, you don't
if
want
you
that,
think
you know.
getting rid of regular crabs is tough,
Right. You remember, hotels don't clean their sheets all that often.
you know what I mean? And
Just
these,
imagine if they were gonna how they would do with the sex robots.
and you know, I just I want to know how much any hives of scum and villainy. You know what I mean? Because I think that's a key thing. I think you need to have at least
Yeah.
one grimy place where you can probably get an infection.
One quick other thing about this park is
Sure.
John Williams is writing a score for this park.
Awesome.
Wow.
Okay, so you are going to experience Star Wars like you have never been able to experience Star Wars in your life.
All new music just for the park.
Really?
I'm definitely going.
I'm guessing.
Oh, for fucking like 3 hours.
I'm gonna use my Jim Jones credentials to get in there. I'm gonna get my Jim Jones credentials to get comped.
Is that what you're hoping? Well, by that point, maybe Disney will buy Sundance. And
That's just at the commissary, though, Jay.
yeah, that's all you really needed. That's where you're getting robbed the most. How much for this burger that looks like it came from 7-Eleven?
That'd be 1850.
That'd be $18.50. Did you want water? $18.50. Okay.
You want
So-
enough water to choke that down? That's 3 bottles.
That's 3 bottles. Because they're the tiny, tiny little
18.
kid bottles.
Yeah, those are the mini pack
The little hand
bottles.
grenades.
4 ounces.
So,
So am I up here?
All right.
So I got. Do I have another one in here? My
I don't
phone
know.
keeps shutting
I don't
down
know.
here. Or did I put it for later? Oh yeah, well we had the PS4 talk.
Well, we'll try to keep this crazy. I don't know. I don't know how deep we can get into it. It's just kind of crazy. I liked it. We
Right.
put it in there. That in Chicago,
Yeah.
PlayStation systems.
Right. Everything though. It's really everything that's entertainment.
Yeah, well, that's their thing. They have an amusement tax, and now it's applicable to video game systems. So that's where the article came from, because now they've managed to pull that into the amusement tax that they have there in Chicago, which
Right.
is like an 8% tax.
Yeah. So
it's
it's
a
basically it's another sales tax. So you're paying 2 sales tax. You buy the system, you're going to pay sales tax plus entertainment tax.
Right.
You're going to buy a game,
Right.
Sales tax, entertainment tax. Another
I just
controller.
think it's crazy that.
So you're basically going at least 15%
Sure.
more.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It's safe to say round it up to 20 just to make sure you're bringing enough cash.
Just to make sure, because your numbers might be wrong. Fair enough, especially if you're dealing with me.
Too nice, it's a nice round number.
I just think it's just inherently moralistically crazy that there's a tax on amusement.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, there's any taxes on a lot of shit. I get it. It's another tax to be annoyed about, like from the fundamentals perspective. But it's just crazy to me that it's like, oh, fun. You want to have fun? You have to pay us a little grease because you want to have fun.
There's going to be a percentage drop.
Don't
in gamers.
Oh yeah.
in Chicago.
and don't think that this is just video games because this applies to everything that you can find entertaining.
Well, that's the thing. It started out as a general amusement tax that was already in place. So for like
Right.
going to the movies or probably like live events and these kinds of things, anything that they could probably squeeze under there. And because, it's just a way, the states are just always looking for a way to get just a little bit more out of you.
We got to watch this one too, simply because it's against the federal law to collect sales tax for the internet.
Right.
So
and that's why everyone's now grasping at.
So
you won't give us
streaming, all this
that.
stuff. But that's what they're doing too.
Oh yeah, that's what they're hoping. Yeah, that they can break that.
No, they got that.
Okay.
That's what they're doing. That's one of the things they started with because it's such an easy money grab. They looked at, we'll get streaming first, and then we'll do this and this and this. So now that it's covering more and more things, it's more and more possible that the federal government's going to get involved on the areas that it can.
Right.
To reel it in.
Right.
To hopefully not let it get out of control, and maybe even just defeat it outright.
Yeah, I'm just worried that more places will just kind of see this if this goes on and is successful, that it's a signal for other states to be like, okay, we'll start taxing that
PlayStation
kind of stuff
has just finally started collecting the tax, but the tax Xbox has been collecting the tax for a while already. So that's why it's PlayStation centric. This article. So
James says, since this is an amusement tax, good luck getting the hookers to pay up out in Chicago.
Well, they're not paying taxes anyway. So.
I know.
It's not Nevada, so.
I know.
But James likes his booze and his hookers, man.
No, it's on initial purchase, right? That's the idea. It's a sales tax. It's a retail level tax.
Right, it's a retail level tax.
Yeah.
So if you're buying a movie on your computer,
right,
or through your service,
well,
through
his
your
question
TV,
is, right,
you're paying that tax there too.
Right. No matter where you buy it, but his question is: so is this on subscription costs? And I'm not sure 100% on that.
Yeah, that might be.
But
because
and if it's not, it will be.
It's an entertainment device. It's an entertainment medium. So it's got. I would imagine that it probably is.
So people are looking for another reason to not move to Chicago.
Yeah, when it comes to how government gets its money, don't ever underestimate the level of how low that they will go.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
we live in a state where if I buy a car in Jersey, okay, and I pay the sales tax in Jersey, I have to, when I bring it back here and register it, I have to pay the sales tax difference between the two states to New York.
Yeah. Heaven forbid, you know what I mean?
But I didn't buy it here.
I know.
I didn't. I should I pay for the meal I had in Jersey?
Exactly. You know what I mean?
What the fuck?
Yep.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
And they're still working on ways around here to try and get money from you for your yard sales. And trying to collect sales tax at yard sales.
Hey, people want to shut down lemonade stands every now and then. You know what I mean? All over the country because it's like so it's like, come on, you don't have a proper permit.
Really?
Come on, it's a fucking 7-year-old. The kid can't even spell permit. Look at him.
Really? Take a look at the way he spelled lemonade. The L's back.
I mean, come on. The kid's serving with a helmet on. Jesus, leave the kid alone, would you? Safety first.
So that's that.
So that's that.
So, Jay, I think we're up to you now.
Over to you, Jay.
Over to me. So, Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal.
Now, a lot of people know him from Game of Thrones.
Yep.
Played Oberyn Martell, sorry.
Gotcha.
We have him. He was in Narcos.
Yes.
He played Javier Pena in Narcos.
So if you watch Narcos, he's the Spanish cop when the white American cop goes down there for the first 3 seasons or so.
Right.
Throughout the whole Pablo Escobar thing.
Right. Well, he just got cast in a lead role in The Mandalorian.
Nice.
Which just adds more fuel to this fucking fire, baby. You know what I mean?
Is this starting to sound more and more like it's an end around to Boba Fett?
It's just going to be probably just some of the most compelling Star Wars you're going to see, as far as what Favreau promises.
I'm just, you know what, Boba Fett's gotta pop up, even if he's not a main character, right? I mean, it's like
we covered this a couple weeks ago when they said that because they said in the same breath that right now the Boba Fett film is dead. We're concentrating on Mandalorians.
Right. So it's all but kind of sad.
So I wouldn't be surprised if that's like season 2 of Mandalorians. So
fair enough.
Which would make a lot of sense.
Yeah,
and
you
save
gotta
a
build
lot of
up,
money.
intro your new characters first, make people sweat for Boba,
Right.
tease them out, make it a big deal, and then it'll probably turn out to be not that great by the end.
And Pedro Pascal is a really good actor.
Oh, he's tops, baby.
Tops.
Tops.
He was in a film I watched last year with Matt Damon called The Great Wall, where it's set in Japan
And there's
they're
dragons.
fighting and dragons and stuff. Excellent.
Nice.
So and then we got an obituary this week.
Oh, did
This'll
Bill Maher have something to say about this guy too?
Yeah, exactly. This will hit home for you too, Bill, because William Goldman is before our time, he was known as the guy that wrote Butch Cassidy, The Sundance Kid, won an Oscar for it, All the President's Men, another good one. Marathon Man, A Bridge Too Far, but then he started adapting some Stephen King stuff.
Yep.
But before that, The Princess Bride.
Princess Bride.
Which has to be mentioned here because that's a pop culture favorite.
As you wish.
But Misery,
Yeah.
I mean,
I didn't even know that was
we can drop the mic now.
I'll just wrap it up and go home. I mean, we're done.
Misery, I believe he adapted Dreamcatcher
Okay.
and Hearts in Atlantis, which is a film I never saw in its entirety. It's the Anthony Hopkins befriends a little kid. Do you
I
remember
just read
that
the
one?
story, actually,
Yeah.
finally. I never saw the movie, but I finally, I started reading the story a long time ago, didn't finish it, and then I finally did.
Right.
It's a good short story. I mean, novella, I guess.
This guy has scripts and claims to fame on a lot of movies I
So
don't have the
many.
time to mention now.
So many.
Died at 87 in his home. A huge marker in the film lore. So, Godspeed to you, sir. Thank you. Salute.
A salud.
A salute.
A little tip of the drink.
I'm having a Game of Thrones White Walker.
All right.
Salute.
I'll just put it on record and say, that was a rough go for me last week.
Yeah,
with
you were
the Johnny White Walker.
Yeah, allow me to say this. Last week I reviewed 3 movies. And they were sloppily reviewed, and it sucks because I really enjoyed these 3 films. So if you guys get a chance, go see what the fuck did I watch? Action Point.
Action Point.
Action Point. Overlord.
Overlord. Right.
And there was and Mandy.
And Mandy, right? Which we didn't get deep on because we and you were gonna kind of revisit this.
But Bill was intoxicated. We had to cater to that.
Yeah.
Dom made an announced appearance. We had to cater to that.
Yeah, some things got sidetracked.
And
I tried to. Well, I
was
tried.
I was in the comic zone. And Bob's having ice cream.
All right.
So that's the news, Bill.
All right. Well, we'll make the kids wait on the chat room game in case they got any more. And since Palmer's not here to compile it, we'll just let it build because that's how I operate. And that's gonna wrap the news. So I think with that, maybe we'll try one of these wacky cards that I've been pulling out.
It's that time.
One of these little situation scenario cards.
That means it must be 7:55 p.m. if you got that card in your hand.
Just about. We're on schedule this week.
Well, let's do this thing.
All right. So here's the setup. All right. Think of a specific friend of yours, not your best friend, but someone who is A, more than an acquaintance, and B, physically attractive. One day, while trolling the internet, you accidentally come across 3 nude photos of this person, reclined on a sofa bed. The pictures were clearly taken several years ago, and it's unclear if the photos were casually posted or taken without the subject's knowledge. Your friend looks comfortable, but he or she is never looking directly into the lens. The pictures are not labeled, and your friend's name is not listed anywhere on the site, but you're certain that this is the same person you know. The question is, what do you do with this information? do you tell anyone? So you've stumbled across these 3 pics, these 3 nudes, that you swear up and down to this person that is physically attractive, a little bit more than an acquaintance, not your best friend.
Easy.
Bob, what you take?
You make a copy of one picture.
Okay.
One where you think it's the best look
Sure.
at him.
Right, fair
or
enough. Fair enough.
Go to the person when you got a private moment. Say, listen, is this you?
Hey, just want to give you a heads up.
You know, this you? I don't care, you know, if it is, what you should know, it's on the internet. You know what I mean?
Be like, hey, what is that, like 9.5 you got there, pal?
Because at that point, if you're really into it, want to know what the fuck's going
three-hander.
on, he'll feel comfortable enough to tell you.
Sure. Yeah.
And if he doesn't,
Yeah.
if you have any kind of sense of like when people are lying, you're gonna know when he's lying.
Yeah.
You
You'll
know
sense
what I
it.
mean?
You'll sense it.
So you'll at least know the story
Fair
to
enough.
some extent.
What do you think, Jay? What's your answer on this one?
This is really easy. I copy and paste the link to the person. Say, this you?
You busy later?
That's it.
We're gonna go for a beer later.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to kind of do the same thing on the down low. I think I'm going to just kind of send that out and be like, hey, I was in the gay files and I happened to see this. This dude looks exactly like you, and I'm just giving you a heads up. I don't think it's you. I'll give him an out. I'll be like, I don't really think it's you. I just want you to be aware that there's somebody out there doing nudes who looks a lot like you in case you get accused in the future. And I'll give my friend like a little out. So they can be like, yeah, man, totally not me. I never had those kinds of shorts. Meanwhile, it's like, I saw you in those shorts.
Doesn't specify male or female, though.
No, but that's the thing.
Either or. I would
Yeah.
I would copy and paste the link, send it to him, and say, is this you?
I'm like, oh, heads up. New phone, who this?
Because, you know, if it is like a guy friend of yours, it could be a pissed off ex-girlfriend, like, showing, like, his junk everywhere. You know?
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
Which ain't cool.
Which ain't cool. Yeah. I don't know. I feel pretty safe with how we handled that one. I think we were all very responsible about it.
I think because that's the only way to
You gotta-
really
you gotta
tackle that
toe the line.
situation.
Yeah.
There's a line you got to walk. You know.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Very mature of you guys. Just want to say that.
You know.
I think on other podcasts they would have been.
We're talking friend. We're not talking.
That's true. It's somebody I know. If I didn't really like know them that well, if it's like enemies, that's a whole different. That changes the whole card.
If it was an enemy,
Yeah. Then what do you do?
I'd repost it. No, I'm only
You
kidding.
copy the
I'm
link
kidding
and you
with
post
you.
it
Fair enough.
everywhere.
If
I wouldn't bother. I just go about
And
my
that kind of
business.
shit would only come back to you anyway. There's like there's a digital trail nowadays.
I just go about my fucking
Yeah,
business.
that's why what he's saying now is probably what would really happen.
Yeah. Right.
But first instinct would be like, oh, that fuck.
Yeah, exactly. The instinct would be there. It would kick in. If you really hated that person, you'd be like, oh, this
Yeah,
fucking
if
bitch.
burner phones really did exist, I'd probably buy a burner phone just to spread it around.
This fucking bitch. So let's see if anybody.
I'm sorry, guys. That's a spoiler alert in case you don't know that burner phones don't really exist. It's just a movie thing.
Well, I'm sure someone will look into that. Why does Bill go to the hypothetical person being a guy? I was just riffing on it because one of the other guys mentioned it real quick. So I was like, oh, that's a funny point.
Because we're all
So,
guys, and the thing says friend.
Yeah, and I'll just go with the funny. James is new. He hasn't heard the show before.
And he hasn't been around for a year and a half or
No.
2 years?
Somewhere online, there's porn of Bill and Jay together. This is what James is presuming or suggesting.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Thank you for putting that image in my head, James.
There's probably 2 guys that look just like us. fucking.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, it's a law of averages.
Yeah.
I mean,
You both do have porn mustaches.
and last night was a wild night. I mean, last week. Last
No
Saturday.
longer a mustache.
That's true. He's got the full tickle.
It's
going.
the full beard is in effect there, Bob. It's just white.
Well, I was just comparing stash parts.
It's like Velcro now when he goes down there. It's all tangled up. we go.
When you guys make out, your whiskers get all stuck to it. They
Yeah,
define?
it's no good.
It's like braces, but whiskers.
Yeah, when we separate, it's like, it's got that the classic Velcro. noise.
Is that why you got that little patch missing over there on the side?
The little bald spot? Yep.
You can't grow a full beard.
No. This is it. This is like it's all patchy and shit. It doesn't connect.
That's the patch.
Yeah. At least I got this much though. Some guys, it's like, oh, dude, just shave it. Like you're 40 years old, and it's like the same thing you had when you were 16. I can understand being lazy because like that's how I am too with my fucking facial hair. But like when you only got like the little wisps on your top lip, and that's like it. Yeah, man, you gotta maintain that.
I'm digging the
Just
beard.
get that shit lasered.
Well, there you go. That too. Yeah.
I'm digging the beard. I actually like it.
No, it looks good on you.
You could do the pencil line, Bill. You could do the nice.
I
thin line.
could do a little bit of that, but not by too much. Not by too much. You all right there, buddy? Were you checking the time? Looking around?
No, I was
Just
just
you fucking hear the feds come in? You snapped
No.
your neck like what?
because it was a Jones doc. I just saw myself on the fucking TV.
Out of your peripheral vision, you saw yourself.
I just looked at it and went, "What the?
Who's
fuck?"
that handsome devil? That guy is a ringer. All right, so let's see if we got. Let's go into the chat room. I'm going to go into the chat room. I'm going to see if I can find any of these.
Yeah.
See if I can find any of these.
I got the.
Any of these chat room games. See what these kids are up to in here.
Chat game, boy.
Chat game. Chat game was Heavy Metal Hooch.
Heavy Metal Hooch.
But we'll take any
Cash.
form of,
Yeah, I saw
band
one
and
from
liquor.
Wesley. I saw one from Wesley. I liked.
All right, let's start with the Jack Charlie Daniels Band. Foreigner Moonshine. Sinatra Rum. Green Champagne Day. Tequila Journey.
You know what? Fuck that.
Stay there. Captain Morgan and Tennille.
That one's good.
Emin Rum Anim. It's supposed to be like Eminem.
Eminem.
Emma Rummanin.
Yeah, Bob got it better than that.
Emma
I'm not giving him a bell.
Emma Rummanin.
Okay.
Not an Eminem fan.
Label and Maroon 5. I'm not sure. Southern Alabama Comfort. Black Seagrams. Director's Special Black Sabbath. Fade to Black Rum.
All right, we'll do that.
It's only scotch on the rocks, but I like it. Bare Naked Sake Ladies. Pearl Rum Jam. Imperial Blue Oyster Cult. Running to the end here. Run to the Hennessy. Like Run to the Hills. I like a good Iron Maiden reference. And I think we got like one or two more here. Welcome to the Jaeger.
Ugh, I'm nauseated already.
Just to hear
Just to hear the word Jaeger.
Smoke on the Whiskey.
Steppenwolf and Rye.
That's going to be my
I think that's
biography.
the
When I
last
write
one.
my biography, it's going to be called Smoke on the Whiskey.
Well, no Johnny Walker Fade to Black.
Jody Walker.
No, you had the other Fade to Black in there.
Or
Steppenwolf.
Johnny Walker Red Rocker.
There you go,
There you
folks. That is the chat room game for this week. Thanks for playing along. That was nice of you guys.
Very nice, guys. Thank you very much.
Old granddad James Hetfield.
See, it's never over.
not with me.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll jump into
So let it be red
some
time.
meanwhile. We'll get into the meanwhile. We'll try and keep it quick, more or less. We're hitting some. All right, I've been watching Patriot on.
With Mel Gibson?
Nope.
Okay.
On it's Amazon Prime series. I really don't know how to really kind of convey like the tone and all, but it's a spy show, but don't let that tone anything. It's supposed to be very current, very modern, very real, but it's got this sardonic tone, a sense of humor. It's got some real quirky weirdness that happens. It's just not what you're expecting if I tell you it's a spy show. But I will say that, like, in the first episode, I was like, okay, I think I know what they're going for. And then, like, 2 or 3 episodes in, I was like, I think they got me. Like, you know what I mean? And it's only gotten better and more compelling since. I will just say that it is a thing where, like, he's trying to do one job, and it just keeps getting worse for him. Like, it just keeps spiraling more and more out of control. More and more people now have to know what's going on. It's kind of like on another show, they would play it harder for comedy. But here, they're just kind of going for that kind of, like, realistic kind of fucked up situation kind of thing where it's like it's not about hard punchlines all the time or hard funny moments. It's
Right.
more like, oh shit, that's fucked up.
Right.
Oh fuck, now this happened. And like, you know, constantly, and it doesn't feel like a thing where it's like I mentioned a show called also from Amazon called it's got Michael Imperioli, something dogs, Mad Dogs. And that's a show where it's like it's very much the next crazy thing, next crazy thing, next crazy thing. These guys are in so deep. They're in so deep. They're in so deep. It's crazy. It's always going out of control.
Right.
And like in really big, over dramatic, explosive ways. This is like watching it unfold and go wrong and very realistic, kind of like, oh shit, that guy was in the bathroom stall. Fuck. And so it's not that the main guy is like a fuck up, but he's just got like the worst luck. He's just like got the worst luck.
Well, from I'm looking at the IMDb on it.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking Kurtwood Smith is in
Kurtwood
this.
Smith is fucking great in it. Terry O'Quinn is in it.
Terry
who played-
O'Quinn, yeah.
Terry O'Quinn, who's from Lost. He played John Locke,
The original stepfather.
the original stepfather, right?
Kurtwood Smith, that's the guy from
70s show. And
The father.
RoboCop.
Clarence Bodiger. Where is
And-
Clarence
and-
Bodiger?
And a couple of story arcs in Star Trek.
Yes. You know, Renaissance
Next
guy.
Generation.
Been around forever.
Yeah, Gil Bellows. I mean, these are guys. That's the guy in Shawshank. He was the kid that knew that Tim Robbins didn't do the murder.
Yes.
Told it to the warden, and then he
Right.
got shot.
Yes, okay. Him. There's I forget the name of the heavyset guy with the beard. He's been in a million things. So it's got like a nice ray of fucking really talented
I'm
actors.
looking. Yeah, I'm
All
looking at
solid
it here.
actors.
All
They
solid
look-
actors.
It looks cool.
Doing some kind of like really kind of like not some subtle kind of stuff, and it's taking place overseas. It's back and forth. Basically, he's CIA. They need to implant him into a corporation so that he has a cover for going overseas and with a corporation that goes back and forth on a regular basis.
Okay.
So by doing that, and it's a corporation, it's all about piping, and like, you know, that fucking thing I used to play, the Flux and Cabinator, which all the techno jargon.
Right.
Like they do a bit with that, where
Oh,
it's like
cool.
Kurtwood Smith is giving this long, drawn out thing about what we do here. You know what I mean? And it's like, John, you
it's
come
all-
up, John, you tell us all about it. And you don't know
all
fucking
gobbledygook.
shit.
Yeah.
It's all about, you know, specialized hydraulic fraction brackets. You know what I mean? And all these kinds of bullshit, you know, nobule refluxor returns.
Globules, and
Yeah, fluxor returns. And meanwhile, it's just they run pipe for like oil companies, like, you know, and it's like they over techno jargon it. But I really give it a recommend. The second season
Cool.
just dropped.
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast where the creator of it was talking about it, and I was like, I haven't watched the show. Do I listen to this? And actually, that made me want to kind of check it out a little bit.
You know, Kurtwood Smith is one of those guys who's just naturally good.
Right. Oh yeah.
Anything you see him in, he's just giving it his best.
yeah,
He's just that
how
good.
he didn't have a more solid movie career.
I think he had
You know
a,
what I
mo-
mean?
a solid
He's had
career
he's had a solid acting career.
yeah.
for years now.
Character actor,
Yeah,
they would
character-
probably they would
absolutely.
call him like. There's no one role except the dad on '70s show that you could point at, maybe RoboCop, and say, "Oh, that's his career-defining." Like that's what people know him. Like you can mention a character name. There's only a couple.
Well, I would feel RoboCop would be his breakthrough.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
You say Kurtwood Smith, one of the first things I picture is him holding that freaking gun next to that fucking car.
Yeah, well, the thing is that the thing is that, but that's just it. Because the thing with those movies is
Yeah.
sometimes the villain is, oh, I remember him as the villain, but
this thing.
and then it's forgotten. But
Yeah,
he
yeah.
was so fucking good.
Yeah, he was always popping up and stuff.
That I remember there was like talk of a supporting actor nomination.
So
for
there's a
him.
great turn for him in this show where, like, you know, he's very stiff, but he's lost everything. And
Right.
he's built himself back up. And so, like, now he's at this company, and this guy, John, comes in, and, like, he knows he's trying to put his finger on what the fucking the deal is with this guy, John.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's a turn for him where, like, shit should fall apart again for him. It should be a giant blow. But he kind of like learns to say "fuck it," and so like the character then becomes a
Right.
guy who's like, "I don't give a shit about giving a shit."
It sounds. I want to watch it. I want to.
I'll tell you this. You know what you're gonna be kick out? There's a scene right where he's in an NA meeting, Narcotics Anonymous meeting.
This John guy,
No,
Kurtwood
Smith.
Yeah.
And you know he's talking, and he's got his mouth covered, and he's just listening to the other guy the whole time, and like he's like, you know what? I just did a bump of coke while I was sitting here listening to you talk. And then like as he's telling everybody, and they're like, and the guy who's running the meeting's like, listen, you can't. That's that's really bad. And he's like, did you just do it again? Because I rewound it to watch like the movements and everything, and I don't know how he got another bump on his hand, but like he's like, yeah, I fucking did. Like, so he goes off the deep end in season 2. But really good show, Patriot, Amazon.
I
Prime, check
really
it out.
want to see it. Cool.
Check it out, it's worth it. Just gotta get the feel for the groove after like the first 3
Right,
episodes.
right.
'Cause It's
You
doing
realize-
something different,
You realize you're mentioning this to me now after I've just finished a 10-season run on another
and
show.
you're looking for something. Yeah, Bob's looking for recommendations. But that's all I got. That's all I got in the meanwhile this week. So Bob's got a little Bohemian Rhapsody. He wants to give kind of like.
Oh,
what
you
he-
saw
Yeah,
that?
I saw that real quick. Yeah. I'm not going to go too into it because you went into it last week. Solid movie. Mm-hmm. Not phenomenal,
Right.
like as far as acting wise, but there's a lot to hit in this movie.
Yeah.
And unlike a lot of complaints about the sex thing, I didn't see a problem with that at all.
Okay.
That was, I think, that wasn't the point of the movie.
Right.
The point of the movie was the overall story that we saw.
Okay.
All right, which was the whole trying to get the whole of Freddy.
Right.
So you're not going to get tons of detail like that.
Yeah.
Because that's not the point.
And there's probably a lot of other directions where you didn't get a lot of detail too.
Right.
Because we're focusing on the
Right,
band and the
right.
music.
It's all about the central character, in this case Freddy, and not so much even about the whole band or
His personal life.
that you get. But I will say one thing that today a video dropped and I watched it of them comparing. Excuse me, a little too close and hit my P's. The original set from
Live Aid.
Live Aid
Okay.
with the recreation from the movie,
Okay.
and they got that almost perfect.
Right.
Okay, this is not just like them going on because they could have just done it as okay, you guys are the band, and here's Freddie, and Freddie's got his routine that everyone knows he's got to nail because Freddie is so specific in what he does,
Sure.
and how he acts,
how he performs.
But if the back band doesn't really, if you didn't do that,
Right.
no one really noticed.
Yeah, they don't have
And
to
no-
hit marks.
No,
Yeah.
but
They do.
they do.
Cool.
And they nail them. I
Wow.
mean, the guy who plays Brian May, he recreates all his motions when
Okay.
he's playing. So it's not just him playing or acting like he's playing. He's
Right.
doing it like Brian May did
Right.
on that moment. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because it's such an iconic. Looking back on it, it's the last time you see Freddie play.
Yeah, it's an iconic performance.
Yeah,
It's a
and
thing,
it was his best performance ever. You know what I mean? So when I saw that as a kid, I wasn't a fan of Queen, so I was like, all right, that was cool.
Right. Sure.
You know what I mean?
It's hard to deny in that way. Sure.
Right. But now looking back on it, it's really the moment hits you. You know, because you do realize that was the last performance that he had.
Yeah.
Before he passed away.
I'll agree with that last 20 minutes. Brings you in.
Yeah.
They did an amazing
They actually
reenactment of that.
Rami Malek did a phenomenal job
Yeah.
as Freddie overall, I think. The production took a couple of small risks with his voice.
Letting you hear his real voice.
Then you hear his real voice a little more because he's not doing an impression of Freddie.
Right, but he's trying.
But he's doing the flavor of Freddie.
Okay.
So when they dialed down Freddie from the from the vocal track
Right.
to let his voice sit on top,
Right.
the moment there's not enough of Freddie there to be even with him,
Right.
it becomes very noticeable,
Okay.
and you notice the difference. You know, because I don't think there were ever any moments because he's not a singer that he didn't have some kind of struggling
Sure.
in the vocal.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
You know
I
what I
think
mean?
so.
Most
yeah.
of the time, I think he was fine. You know, because he wasn't having to hit those high notes. He just has to stay in key
Yeah.
in one octave, and then they mix that with Freddie, and then you hear Freddie.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So once they took that away a little bit, then it got a little too low for pitch wise,
Okay.
and he couldn't produce quite right.
But you could tell. The point
I
being.
noticed.
Right.
You know, someone else may not notice.
Right. No,
know
but
what
I
I mean?
think I noticed through the door though too.
Yeah.
So I think it was noticeable because even Jay was nodding. You know, as much as you might have the
Yeah,
technical
but I mean-
know-how of what's going on
Yeah.
there, I don't think it was that hard to not see
Right.
it.
No, but now we're going on a bit long on this one, but it's definitely worth seeing. I don't know if it's a stash for Queen fans. Absolutely, it's a
Oh,
stash.
sure. Yeah.
You know, but it's definitely worth seeing. So check it out, one way or another. Check it out.
Okay. And you want to give a heads up about a little secret thing on Netflix that I heard about. Go for it.
Yeah, Netflix. Okay. You know that little MCU universe that's going on nowadays in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
That I'm part of?
yeah, that you're actually
Little bit.
technically part of.
Technically.
Unfortunately.
Don't let anybody in, it seems.
Bringing it down now.
They're really scraping the barrel.
If you have a Netflix subscription, and you can just say Excelsior.
Yeah, type that into the search.
Type that into the search, or if you have the Alexa,
Oh, yeah, okay. Fair
you can
enough.
just say Excelsior,
Okay.
and you will get a search of all Marvel MCU stuff.
Yeah, it comes up with a
Movies,
name like
shows.
Stan something, I think is like the name of the list.
It's
or
like,
whatever.
it's like a playlist of a Stanley playlist that they made.
Yeah.
So
Which is a cool thing. It's a cool little Easter eggy thing you can do.
So you want to get a little intimate with Stan or something like that.
Yeah, you want to pay your
pay
respects.
a little respects that way or
It's
something.
not like lighting a candle
You
on the
know.
side of the highway, but
That's what you're missing.
if you want to remember Stan in that moment when you're going to watch a show, you know what I mean?
Sure, absolutely,
Hey,
yeah.
Let me go watch Iron Man 3.
right.
All right, let me Excelsior.
Or part 2, the one with Bill Maher.
That's what you're missing.
Why,
You're missing
why
an
plug him,
Alexa.
Bill? Why?
Because it's funny that he had shit to say, but he's in a comic book movie. Anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You're missing an Alexa. You need one in here.
No. I have enough
Yeah,
devices to
I got
track
the
me.
I got the stick, so I have the.
You'd be
Alexa.
dating her by the end of the week.
Well, that's what I mean. Does she come with a fucking a fleshlight attachment or something?
Well, the
Easy on the
remote
microphone.
the remote does resemble
Hey, I had a feeling that would get you, but I should have known it would get you that good because you're the one who slipped in an edging reference
Who?
last week.
I did.
Yeah,
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, I heard it back.
That's terrible. I didn't listen. I purposely
It
didn't
was
listen
so
to last
low.
week.
You were like, yeah, it's like
So-
edging, and like no one called
so
it.
Jay,
Yeah.
you know that movie Kroll, that classic sci-fi movie.
Well,
with
before
that
we
funky weapon.
Well, before we get to that, because there's a Blu-ray of that, but before I get to that, I watched a film that I was really taken with, a film called Alpha.
Alpha.
Now, Bill, you and I have discussed off mic our appreciation for dead presidents.
I didn't know where that was going.
The
but okay.
Hughes brothers
Yeah.
were
I like Money too.
They were a twin brother director team.
Mm-hmm.
They came on the scene in '93 with Menace to Society. You remember that one?
That's right, I do.
And then a couple of years later, they did Dead Presidents.
Dead Presidents.
A few years after that, they adapted a graphic novel, and it was called From Hell, which was the
Yeah.
Jack the Ripper.
And the movie was
From
terrible.
Well, I don't know what happened to Alan Hughes, but Albert Hughes just
Yeah.
started to go off on his own.
Okay.
And he decided, as in this next project in this day and age, was to do a film set 20,000 years ago in Europe during the Cro-Magnon Ice Age time,
Good times.
and do a film called Alpha. Alpha. And
I think I saw the trailer for this.
now the thing is, this is Cody Schmidt McPhee. Is who? My neighbor. No. Cody Smith. He's the kid in The Road with Viggo Mortensen. Remember that?
Yes.
He's the kid in
okay.
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
He's all grown up now.
He's playing 16-year-old kid.
Okay.
The son of one of the Cro-Magnon clans, and they're hunting bison.
Okay.
And at one point, the kid goes in for a kill, goes over the edge of the cliff. The father believes he's dead. He moves on. The kid's not dead, of course.
Okay.
So he gets stalked by a pack of wolves, seeks refuge in a tree, but not until he actually slices one on the arm.
Okay.
It brings, takes one out, but it doesn't die. So he feels like he's responsible for it, so he actually starts taking care of it. And there's bonds between him and this wolf.
Okay. Okay.
Both basically orphans of a clan who have a very amazing friendship as they move on into this tough world
All right,
that
all
is
right,
20,000 years ago Earth.
Sure.
I can't begin to tell you how beautiful this film is, the cinematography on this. I feel that this is probably the best looking film I've seen in a long ass time.
Right.
And they use the language of that time too, the Cro-Magnon language.
Some grunts and stuff.
But not even that. There's like
some phonetics,
certain language to it, and they kept that. But just the departure of being a film fan, a 25-year departure from Menace to Society to
Well, yeah.
which shows this guy's range.
Yeah.
He's a really it's really good. So if you can, don't even bother with like streaming. Get the Blu-ray of this and take a look at this.
Okay.
Because I'm telling you, it's just the cinematography is like a component of this film.
Okay.
Huge. So this was a very, very high cash for me. You know what I mean? Possibly a stash. I really was really taken with it. And it goes back to some of that filmmaking we don't see anymore.
Nice.
So on another note,
Speaking of stashes.
and now Krull, as we
Okay.
all know, is a film from '83. Come on, Bill, get in on this.
All right, I'm here.
You're
I'm
here.
Bob's seen it.
And
A couple times.
Krull basically is on Blu-ray.
Mm-hmm.
Walmart has a what they did was they have a campaign, not a campaign, but a
Promotional.
promotion
Mm-hmm.
where they took a handful of films and gave them this slip cover.
Okay.
And the slip cover are the VHS
Sizes.
covers
Okay.
with like rental stickers imprinted on them and
All right,
everything.
real retro
so the
looking.
retro looking VHS. I said,
Okay.
oh, of course, man. Now I have Krull on DVD,
Sure.
but this is the Blu-ray. It's a bare bones Blu-ray.
Okay.
So any of you guys that are a huge fan of this film and have the DVD, there's a bunch of extras that are not transported over. So
Okay.
keep your fucking DVD.
Fair enough.
So I got the Krull, but it looks great. I always thought Krull looked good. You know what I mean? It's dated in some
Sure.
some areas, but it really is. One critic said this is Star Wars and Excalibur had a baby, and it's this. And they couldn't be more fucking right, because that's exactly.
I'll take that.
I would buy it too.
I'll take that. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's probably because both of those films were fresh at the time.
yeah that's true.
But the scope of it is good. You know what I mean? It's a good storyline.
Yeah.
One of the coolest weapons. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're looking for something you haven't seen from back in the days, you're into that shit, something that, in that fantasy kind of, like spun out of Conan
Correct.
kind of era. There was a lot of this blew up as like a subgenre for a while of everybody trying to kind of find the next Conan the Barbarian. It's where Beastmaster kind of comes
Right.
from. Krull was one of those.
Well, Krull found its audience on VHS and cable TV.
well, they all did.
Because it was overshadowed by Return of the Jedi. It came out like a month after Return of the
Sure,
Jedi.
sure.
The fact is, though, when you talk about it now, like you just did, you're like, okay, it's Krull. But then you start talking about it, and then you watch it again, you're like, yeah, it was cool.
It was cool. It was cool. There was some scenes because I was a kid. It was like some creepy shit. Like when they're in the swamps and those guys, they hang upside down and they have like the big. Is it Krull? They have the giant.
Oh, that's Beastmaster.
Is that Beastmaster?
That's Beastmaster.
All right, I like
no,
Beastmaster.
Krull had them sinking in the quicksand shit.
Yeah, I thought that was the same scene.
and an early Liam Neeson performance.
Oh well, if
And Robbie Coltrane.
Well, if there's any reason, it's those two.
But it is a very cool,
Oh,
if you're into
yeah.
sci-fi fantasy, pop culture, this is a big pop culture film.
Absolutely.
So yeah, go to Walmart. The Blu-ray is like $7.
Nice.
Worth it for that slip cover alone, my friends.
Right.
High recommendation.
High recommendation. All right, before we go to the next thing, I just want to say every week this show is sponsored by our Patreon supporters. This week, we're going to say thanks to Clint Thiel. He's the host of the Geek Dig podcast. He supports us. He helps us out. Go check out his show.
Clint.
The Geek Dig podcast. You can support.
Watch your mouth.
Hey,
Oh, that's Clint.
Clint.
Yeah, my buddy Clint, right?
I guess, yeah. If you only have
Yeah,
one
he's my
Clint.
buddy on Facebook.
I was going to say, you might only have one Clint on Facebook that you know. It's him.
It's Eastwood. I follow him.
So you can support our shows and get cool perks. Just go to patreon.com/Wicked Theory. Also, maybe you want a t-shirt. Check out teespring.com/stores/Wicked Theory shop for cool original designs and logo swag. And with that, we're gonna head over to the email portion of this show.
We had a live version of that.
We did last week,
Yeah.
which was unusual. You know,
Might want to put a marker on that episode. I'll never listen to it because I know things got out of hand.
well, I couldn't listen back to the whole thing. I'll tell you that.
Exactly.
It was a
Scotch
rough
is
one.
working, I'll tell you. that.
Man, it was a rough
It was
one.
working pretty well last week too,
Oh, yeah. Well, for him,
for both of you.
It was doing pretty good. It was doing good.
Bill's a lightweight.
Yeah, James is all up on top of his Beastmaster stuff.
Oh,
here.
we're getting a knock at the door, aren't we?
Is that what that was?
I thought that was.
I don't think it's locked. Dom just walks right in. False alarm. It would have been crazy if we mentioned Dominic and then all of a sudden he walked in.
I just locked it now. So.
All right. So
Nobody was there at all. Like
No,
at
I
the top?
thought I heard knock, knock, knock.
I don't know. I don't know.
The bowling games going on.
Yeah, the bowling
It's
alley.
senility here.
Well, that too.
Fucking Staten Island lanes.
Oh, baby. You're not far from Rome. All right. Let's see what we
You
got here.
flash a peace sign on the lanes. Emails. Go ahead. What did James say?
No, nothing from him.
Wesley?
A little something from Wesley. Buddy.
Oh, the Billy boy.
All right, I'm going to take a nap during your answers to this question. Hey, you gentlemen, what other band/musician would you like to see a movie about, like Bohemian Rhapsody?
Oh, Lemmy.
Yeah, saw that one coming. Is there anyone besides Lemmy? that
Bob
might-
Seger.
Fucking Like a Rock, the movie?
Honestly, I'd like to see a Stevie Ray Vaughan film.
Turn the page.
Turn the Page would be the name of the
I'd like
Bob
to see a
Seger
Stevie Ray Vaughan movie.
movie. That would be
Or
pretty
either
good.
that or Get Out of Denver.
Get Out of Denver, baby.
Bob
go.
Seger, Get Out of Denver.
Silver Bullet Band, yeah. That is my favorite Silver Bullet Band song. But yeah,
Stevie Ray Vaughan would be cool.
good. That's a good story. There's
Yeah.
some drug addiction, some redemption, and
Yeah.
some sadness at the end.
Yeah.
See, I know Lemmy would be a really good story because I know for a fact that he started out as a roadie for Jimi Hendrix. And I read an article in the Aquarian Weekly, which is a local music newspaper, where he told the story of how he met, what's his name? The guy who created LSD. He was there the day that he...
Leary? Timothy
yeah.
Leary?
He was there the day that Leary gave Jimi Hendrix a briefcase full of acid.
Nice.
And
And that's a good friend. That's a good
You know
friend.
what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So, but that's him at like 18.
Right,
And then-
right.
So a movie about Lemmy, with
Yeah.
his life in music.
Yeah. There's
would
a
be-
long run
There's
there.
a long run there. There's a lot to tell.
Okay.
So I think that would be really cool. It would be a challenge to make.
Sure. Well, I
You
think
might
any,
have to have like a
any good one would be.
Yeah, I think you need a
Um,
Jim Jones kind of size movie for him.
Jay, you want some extra work? Anybody else who might be a good candidate for you, Bob, that you can think of?
I'll play Bob Seger.
Well, Ozzy would be
could.
interested.
Ozzy probably seems like an easy go-to.
Yeah.
Like once he passes away,
Yeah,
I'm
because
sure.
if you couldn't sell it as a serious movie, you could sell it as a comedy.
That's true. You could just make him completely
No,
unintelligible.
because everything that happened to his, if you hear the stories, I mean, like the whole story about him pissing on the Alamo.
Yeah, that's true. Almost every story of Ozzy's is kind of like a
Right.
comedy. It's something out of a comedy.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
because the real story about that, which I actually got to see on TV, was that Sharon took his clothes because when he got drunk, he wanted to go out
Right.
and he was drunk, so she had to go out. She took his clothes, but she left her clothes in the hotel room.
Right. I've heard
And
this too.
he wanted to go out and buy booze,
Right. And had nothing
and,
to put on.
and he was so drunk when he left with her clothes on, heels and all.
Mm-hmm.
He realized he had to pee, so he just peed basically right there at the hotel. It's one of those ones with the rooms out, the stairs outside. you
Sure.
know, the, you know,
He's just
motel
pissing
kind
out.
of-
He's just pissing
He's just
outside.
pissing outside, and it just happens to be near the Alamo,
Right.
and that's when he got caught. So he got caught peeing in public in a dress.
Right.
All right, so tell me that doesn't fly as a comedy.
Oh, I mean,
You know what
and
I
that's
mean?
just one story. And that's just one
Yeah.
story.
And then
You
there's
know?
the whole bat.
There's the thing with the bat. There's so much.
So and you got the tragedy of Randy and
Sure. I mean, yeah.
you
We
know,
got that
him almost
stuff.
dying from drug use and all
Yeah,
that. So.
yeah.
You know, the tricky thing about rock biopics or musical biopics is that they have to be compelling in storytelling.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is that the reason why you probably don't have one on the Beatles is because you need that has to be like a 12 episode miniseries because you have to tell each of their stories,
Right.
and you have to tell it because that's a huge descent into drugs.
Yeah.
You know, the way they shifted their music sound and everything
Yeah,
like that.
that's
But
a
I
TV
think that
show.
if they did that, like HBO did it or Netflix did it, there would be something very special there.
Give it time.
But yeah, like Stevie Ray Vaughan, you know, now that I'm saying Bob Seger, I'm sure that would be wonderful too.
Well, I'm sure like a lot of these guys.
Well, yeah, there's a lot to tell. There's about any guy. Who's
I'm
been
sure there
on
was a
the
point in
road for
history
a
where
long
no
time.
one thought like a Richie Valens story was going to be exceptional or really worth telling
Until they made it.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And it's like you could probably
Right.
format anybody's story. Hey, the Weird Al Yankovic story might be pretty good. I don't know where you're going to kid who can play an accordion.
That Tina Turner movie was pretty compelling. You know what I mean? But the thing is, they weren't afraid to go there.
Yeah,
Right,
not at all.
right.
That story.
You know what I
That's
mean?
the thing with this kind of movie, though. You have to be unafraid to go there,
Right.
Because the story needs those elements.
Right.
You know what I mean? Usually, those are the things that are deciding factors when you decide to make the movie.
Yeah, because that Tina Turner movie could have easily been something, a throwaway movie of the week. But no, what they did was they did it in they put it in theaters. That's Larry fucking Fishburne fucking punching her in the face and everything. But Ike said, of
The
course.
Elvis movie from the chat.
Well, there's a few of them,
right.
but I think that to really tell it, to give it merit, you need like an R-rated theatrical. Don't be afraid.
Well, yeah, there's that.
Like Ray wasn't afraid to go. The Ray Charles film wasn't afraid to tell that story.
Yeah. Certain productions seem to hold back a little bit more than others.
And those are the ones that usually suffer, the ones that
Yeah.
hold back.
The Johnny Cash one.
Doesn't feel like it really. I never saw it.
Well, no, but it's not afraid to go and tell.
Oh, it does get gritty. Okay, I wasn't sure what you were saying right there. Which way you?
No,
were
they're just not. The thing is, you can't be afraid to tell the
right.
truth.
No, I know. But I'm just saying that one does. I wasn't sure what you were saying. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So,
It
kids.
wasn't too bad.
Was that?
It wasn't too bad.
Well, it wasn't too bad. The Johnny Cash movie?
No, that email.
No, it was pretty good from Wesley, our buddy Wesley.
Yeah, and you got involved.
No, not really. I just talked to you guys about what you thought.
You coordinated it.
Yeah, I didn't give one for my. I didn't give my summation or answer.
Okay.
Because I ain't got one.
The
Okay.
Suicidal Tendencies film.
Fuck no.
Why not?
Why?
Lost
You'd have to
again?
give it. I'd have to hear that people are like, bro, I didn't know there was this much pathos. And then I'd be like, okay, all right, you know what I mean? But
The
like,
Stone Temple Pilots film.
like a band or a musician that like I know the story of that I feel is like that compelling in a way. Like outside of what we've mentioned, I'm not sure.
Well, the reason why I say that is because VH1. I don't know if you remember this, but like 18 years ago, 20 years ago, VH1 was starting to do a lot of those music biopics, and they were done.
Are you talking to me about not being able to remember it?
You remember those?
Yeah, because I'm
They
gonna
did a
walk
Def
out
Leppard
fucking
one.
behind the
They
music.
did a Meatloaf
fucking-
one.
yeah,
and they're so much TV of the movie week there.
And when we come back, we'll find out why everyone in the band still hates him to this
Because
day.
Def Leppard were a bunch of drunks,
Yeah.
and you can't tell that story on live TV at that time.
No. I mean, like, when you find out that drummer used to have both arms, you're like, what?
But his accomplishments after that are pretty fucking stellar.
Yeah, I mean, there's a syncopatedness that sounds like it's missing something.
In a TV movie of the week, sure.
I don't know. I'm not watching Pour Some Sugar on Me, the untold story of Def Leppard.
Yeah, but if a real good director was behind it, you wouldn't give it a
No,
shot.
I would. I mean, that's just our that's our out on that
Yeah.
always. Is
That-
that,
but-
any
I don't know.
story,
See, you can
any
make-
sto-
Go ahead.
any story with the right handling is amazing stories. We've said that before.
Like if Martin
but-
Scorsese said he was doing the Beatles.
Well,
thing,
you would be like, oh,
so would you. You would
yeah,
give it a
I'd
shot.
give it a shot.
Unfortunately, you picked one that actually would be a good story because they had a member die of a heart attack young, and another one lose his arm in a car accident and still play drums.
I mean, no, don't get me
You know
wrong.
what I mean? So there's material there to work with.
Sure.
Yeah, like Joe Elliott has said that they went through cases of whiskey and vodka like you wouldn't
Well,
believe.
that's every British
Do you know what I
band.
mean? Guns N' Roses.
Why do you think Metallica did it? Because they wanted to be like the British heavy metal guys.
How do you make a Guns N' Roses movie without Axl being the dick?
Right.
You can't,
No,
right?
you
just can't.
Or Kiss movie without Gene Simmons being the total
You
prick.
know what I mean? Like you can't softball it. No matter-
In the case of Kiss, you can make Kiss meets the Phantom.
problem with that-
just be so bad that nobody wants to ever see it
The
again.
problem with that is that you have 7 different stories from 4 guys.
That's the angle to take, though, right? It's like it's Rashomon. It's like you don't know whose version is right.
That might be interesting. That might be
and that's
interesting.
the only one Gene would like because he's like, it just builds the mystery. It just makes us more of a mystique. He would be okay maybe with something like that.
That would also have to be a Netflix show, and each show would be
He'd have
4
to
different
have-
versions.
Yeah, he'd have to have some ownership of something.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Well, all right.
Pitch versus pitch, right here today.
Oh, we just did one without even trying. I
Kiss,
guess.
the Kiss film. Who's right?
Mine ends as soon as the opening credits end.
I think Peter Criss is right. Edible.
What?
Who, the cat?
Peter Criss has probably got the most truthful.
You think you're getting the true story from him?
The truth?
Well, his would be the most whiniest because he's been kicked out of the band more than anybody else.
All right, we're going to wrap it up. So this is what's going on. If you're listening live, go watch Sundance TV in a less than a half an hour. Uncle Jay will be in the reenactment segments of Jonestown, Terror in the Jungle. And then we're going to come back here after it's over and go back on mic. We'll record a little something, some of our reaction breakdowns. If you're still up or you're still around, you can just come back into the chat room.
Chime on in.
Hang out with us, ask questions. But we hope that you do watch it and check it out, because otherwise you'll just listen to us talk about something you didn't see, I guess.
I think I could play Gene Simmons.
I haven't heard you tell me somebody you couldn't play.
No, I can't play, you know.
Shirley Temple.
Patsy Cline.
Did you hear me 2 episodes ago sing My Little Lollipop? Whatever that song was. All right. So, folks, this is the plugs portion of the show. We want you guys to check out the DC TV Report every week. That's Edward O'Hare and Sarah Netzley. They get together, they recap, review, give you news on all the DC TV live action TV shows. Titans is amazing. They're talking about it. All this kind of stuff. Go check it out. They got all the kinds of news and scoops and updates. And then over on Facebook, check out The Real Thing, REEL. That's Jay's little master plan over there, giving you all kinds of news, pop culture, scoops, and entertainment throughout your week. And then we kind of come here during the end of the week and we talk about it.
Thank you, Wes.
Wes Weezar, your homeboy over there helping out.
Our friend and yours.
Friend and yours. You can check out all of us on Twitter. I'm just going to read them off, guys. You don't have to do it. Jay is at Uncle Jay's Thing. Bob is at Bob WTPC.
That's right, at Bob WTPC.
And then you can also, I don't know why, I'll give him a plug anyway. Agent Palmer, he didn't do nothing this week to help the show.
It's terrible.
Terrible. The guy has a girlfriend now.
That's why. Balls deep.
And I'm at Wicked Theory on Twitter, and the show is at wickedtheory.com. You can find us there. Find us wherever good podcasts are given away for free. And then, if you're just listening to us on the on the podcast feed, listen or look for the Jonestown episode that we'll have sitting around waiting for you. And if you need something else to go listen to me be real drunk last week, because I don't know. Why not? I guess. I don't know. And Bob's listening to the podcast.
For the one day.
No, I know.
Oh, yeah, baby doll.
So, and I'm having a little problem with my own. Because I had something queued up, and now it's gone from the queue.
Can I say a fuck you to Frankie Mogwai?
I don't know if that's a good idea.
Well, no, because he contacted me yesterday.
Okay.
So fuck you, Frankie.
See, that's not good. That is really not good.
No, Frankie only comes around when he's really, really drunk.
Should have heard him last night. He had some choice words, my friend.
Oh, did he?
Yes, he did.
About what?
Oh, I'll just replay the message. Next week. That's what you have to look forward to. Guys, thank you so much. Go watch me,
Yeah, I
make
know.
my premiere. What are you doing, bro?
I am trying to find... actually, I don't even have to do that.
Is everything good in the House of Jones this morning?
Nothing is good in the House of Jones this
Do you
morning.
want me to start playing?
No. I got confused. I'm so in the habit of putting a song in between shows.
You've never been inside an isolation box. You know what I'm talking about?
Nope.
Knowing the undertaking is before this humble band of people.
All right. That's
Look at
that's
every
gonna do it.
podcast.
Put.
Great Kool-Aid.
Put.
The Wicked Theory podcast is heard live every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern until whenever. Just go to mixler.com/wicked-theory. Mixler is MIXLR. Sign up to join the chat. Then click the follow button to get reminders whenever the show goes live. You can find the show on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, wherever good podcasts are given away for free, and at wickedtheory.com. You can support the show at patreon.com/wickedtheory. There you can get the after show if you miss it live. God forbid. Plus other exclusive episodes. As always, send your emails to podcast@wickedtheory.com.